What if I told you your bucket list had almost nothing to do with travel? I know that is probably a strange thing to hear from someone who owns a retreat company, but hear me out. Somewhere along the way, I think we've accidentally convinced ourselves that a bucket list is just a list of places. Paris, Machu Picchu, still on the top of my bucket list. An African safari. Okay, maybe this is my bucket list. The Northern Lights, a fabulous thing to have on your bucket list. Those are incredible, but I don't think that is actually what we are searching for. I think we are searching for something much deeper. Hello, dreamers, believers, and bucket list retreaters. Welcome back to Bucket List Retreats, the podcast from the porch. I have been waiting for this moment all year. If you know me, I know I've mentioned it before here on the podcast. I've wanted to record on the porch, but it was so windy and cold this spring. By the time it warmed up, we were well on our way to our Alaskan adventure where we went home to Alaska. We hadn't been back there in 20 years. And while we were gone, of course, it warmed up and the monsoon started. If you look behind me, you will see what I'm talking about. All these clouds gather every single day. And here late in the afternoon, we get thunder and lightning and rain showers. It's quite the sight. And one of the reasons we bought this property up here, because we can just watch these beautiful storms roll by every single day from 180 degrees, or really if you walk all the way around the house, you can see everything. I am your hostess, Kelly Morgan Murley, and if this is your first time listening, don't worry. You don't have to be a retreat person to belong right here. If you have ever dreamed of doing something just a little bit bigger, a little bit more adventurous, or a little bit more like you, then you are in exactly the right place. It's like me podcasting from the porch. This is take 3. We started yesterday. We'll see if we make it through. Here on this podcast is where bucket list dreams become bucket list experiences that help you feel more alive, often through the power of retreating. Because at Bucket List Retreats, we believe a bucket list isn't just about the places you go. It's about the moments that actually change you, the memories that stay with you, and the experiences that remind you who you are. So welcome everyone to my porch. If you are watching on YouTube or wherever your podcast allows video, you will get to see this gorgeous sky and our green ranch right now. We call it a ranch even though we really don't have any livestock. The ranchers around here pass our fences on both sides, use it for cattle grazing. So we get to see the cattle all the time and all their babies. It's the cutest thing ever, but we don't have to take care of it. We feel like we're on a ranch and, hey, why not call it a ranch? We are working with our new portable setup, the DJI Osmo 3 and microphone. I can clip it onto my shirt, but it does make noise with my necklaces, and I don't want to take my necklaces off, and I kind of enjoy holding it anyways. You can put it on different things. I've seen people, oh, it won't fit on this lip gloss, but I've seen people put it on different things here. Here's a piece of Native American pottery that we found out here on this property. I can use it to hold it. There you go. Now, we did use this setup in Alaska and it had such beautiful footage that I couldn't wait to get back home to use it here. And here comes our wind and the storm, so we'll get to see how good it works with all of this wind. It did fantastic in Alaska. They do have the Osmo 4 out, and I knew it was coming, but I went ahead and got this one anyways. It fit perfectly into my budget. And I have to say, I caught some awesome footage. Of course, it's not hard to catch awesome footage in Alaska. Stunning scenery everywhere you look. I often wonder if Russia went and looked before they sold it to us. I mean, the Russians are still there today. There are several villages on the Kenai Peninsula, which is where how our home is, and you will see them, their colorfully dressed people in the supermarkets in places like Ninilchik and Homer. I mean, you'll see them in Soldotna and Kenai too, but more prevalent down in that area. I did have to look it up to remind myself how much we paid for Alaska, and we paid $7.2 million, which is roughly 2 cents an acre for Alaska. And Russia used that money to build their infrastructure, namely their railroad system, even the locomotives and some of the cars, it said in this report. So that was really interesting that that's what they used the money for. This trip was just the greatest trip home, seeing friends and family. It had been 20 years since we've been up there. A lot of them have come down to here and visited, but it had just been a long time since we'd been up there. I do want to say a special thank you to everyone who followed along on TikTok, on YouTube Shorts, on Instagram, which is what we're really trying to build. So if you're not already following us on Instagram, be sure and follow. We did the live from the Kenai River salmon fishing in Soldotna, our hometown. We were out on the Cook Inlet halibut fishing on our charter boat. Did a live out there that was super exciting because we had an all-girl crew out there. We were with Inlet Charters. They just really treated us great. I love their boat. They have a women's and a men's head, which is very important on a boat when you're leaving first thing in the morning, if you know what I mean. So thank you, Inlet Charters. That was just the greatest. We all caught our limit, which was 2 halibut, and we brought halibut home and have been eating it along with the salmon that we got from our friends and family up there. They came through big time because it's a lot of pressure to get your cooler filled in the time that you're there. Even though we were there for 3 weeks, the red salmon, which is really your cash cow where you get most of your salmon, is so delicious and that you really want, hadn't quite come in. It was like 2 or 3 days later after, we left that they really started coming in the river. So I'm sure all of you know that salmon go out to sea after they're born in the river and they're gone for 6 years and then they come back to spawn 6 years later. And this year is supposed to be a large run of salmon, which is excellent to know that they're coming back. They have been running low those runs in the last few years. So that is just great news, but we had the best time. And again, thank you to everyone that joined in on the social medias as we journey through Alaska. Knowing you were with us was a huge part of the trip. Please tell me in the comments if you have traveled this summer, where you went, if you experienced something from your bucket list, or if you're planning to, if you haven't quite got out yet. I know a lot of us retirees plan our big trips for end of August and September, and we are doing something very fun very soon. So let that be a little bit of info that will be coming out very soon. We are also getting close to wrapping up season 1 of this podcast, which honestly feels a little surreal. It does. What started years ago, we revived and turned into nearly a year of conversation about travel, about transformation, and living a life a little more intentional. And wait until you see what we have planned for season 2. I think that you are all really going to enjoy it. Today, we're diving into a topic that's become the heart of everything we do here at Bucket List Retreats. It's something I think we've gotten a little backwards over the years, and I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll start looking at your own bucket list in a completely different way. Before we jump in, we are getting back to our regularly scheduled programming and diving into what is happening in the world of retreats in our segments Retreat News and Reviews. While I was off exploring Alaska, one of the biggest stories in the retreat industry broke, and it has to do with my teacher, my mentor, Sherry Rosenthal. If you look back to the beginning of this season, you will see that she was on the podcast, launching our podcast with us and sharing a lot of knowledge and inspiration. So if you haven't yet seen that podcast, go check it out. But here is the news. Sherry Rosenthal is passing the torch of her company, Wanderlust Entrepreneurs, to none other than Jake Sasseville, founder of the Imaloa Institute. I know that a lot of you have heard of Imaloa. It is out there all over the retreat world, but most specifically in Costa Rica, where they invite retreat leaders to come down with their tribe and they take care of everything. It is something I have been dying to check out, and I have been invited several times, but I haven't got an opportunity to do it. Word on the street is that Imaloa's management is fine. They are happy. Everything is still go there. So it sounds like it was a win-win for everyone. And most importantly, my mentor, my friend, Sherry Rosenthal, congratulations to you. I know that you deserve a beautiful retirement and you have worked so hard for so many years. Now, if you are new to the retreat world, you may not recognize her name, but chances are you have been influenced by someone who learned from her. For years, she has helped thousands of retreat leaders learn how to create transformational retreats safely and successfully launch them as a actual business. And her course is unmatched in my personal opinion. It's a collegiate level course that will set your business up properly and takes care of you, your attendees, the retreat centers that you work with. It teaches you and guides you through so many things that you need to have set in place for yourself and your attendees. It's a fantastic course. I, of course, have a link to it in the show notes if you are interested. It sounds like Jake Sasseville is so excited to take it on. We'll definitely be watching this story as it unfolds. Now on to retreat reviews. One of my favorite parts of the podcast is our retreat reviews because I get to go shopping for retreats and call it work. Tough job, I know. Today we are heading to beautiful Barbados to look at the Ladies Luxury Wellness Escape from Barbados Equestrian Experience. Just a reminder, I have not attended this retreat and I do not know the hosts personally. I'm not reviewing the actual retreat experience. I am reviewing the invitation, the information and experience presented on the sales page. Because before we ever experience a retreat, we experience the sales page. So let's imagine you and I are sitting here on the porch together. I have just opened the website and I'm going to tell you what catches my eye, what makes me want to know more, and what I would still need to see before booking. Okay, if this were my next bucket list experience, would I keep scrolling? The answer is yes. My immediate first impression is that this is beautiful. Before I have even read a word, I am already imagining sunshine, horses, ocean breezes, and Barbados. And that is powerful. In some ways, the retreat experience has already begun. And this is something I believe very strongly. A beautiful retreat deserves a beautiful invitation. Beauty is not necessarily about having the fanciest website or hiring the most expensive designer, but I do know a great one. If you're looking for one, I'll put her name, Carrie Ann, in the show notes. What it is about care. Does the page make me feel like the hosts have put as much love into inviting me as they have into creating the retreat? This one does. The title is Ladies Luxury. That's a big draw. Wellness Escape followed by the words ride, rejuvenate, relax. Right away, I understand the overall feeling of the experience. It is for women, it includes wellness, it is intended to feel luxurious, and the horses are clearly a central part of it. As I continue reading, I learn that this is a 7 night, all inclusive beachfront retreat for women who love horses, yoga, nature, and slowing down in style. They also answer an important question very quickly. You do not need previous writing experience. I mean, that wasn't that the first thing you were wondering when you looked at it? It goes on to say the experience is limited to only 8 guests. Within just a few seconds, I know exactly who this retreat is designed for. And honestly, that is harder to accomplish than most people might think. They aren't trying to appeal to everyone. They know their person. Now, I am beginning to picture what I actually would be doing. There are daily equine experiences, peaceful morning rides, ocean swims with the horses, and a behind the scenes heritage tour connected to Barbados equestrian culture. I always love learning about the history, especially from the locals themselves. Then we have beachfront yoga, island cuisine. Yes, please. A luxury catamaran sunset sail and dining beneath the stars. So, yes, this is a luxury retreat. And it's pretty obvious they can pull it off because they have this gorgeous equestrian center. They also mention optional experiences such as garden tours, cave adventures, and surfing if you are into that. One thing I particularly like is that they acknowledge different energy levels. You could fill your days with adventure or choose a slower and more restorative experience. That makes the retreat feel personal rather than overly scheduled. Now I'm looking for practical information. I know the retreat is 7 nights. I know it is all inclusive and beachfront. I know it is limited to 8 women. I know it is booking for winter 2026 to 27, but I would still like to find the exact dates, the price, and the specific accommodations, and a very clear list of everything included. Because when someone is considering spending several $1,000s and using a week of vacation time, they need to understand the investment without having to hunt for it. I would love to see a simple section that says what is included: accommodations, meals, airport transportation, which they did say was luxury. So that's nice. Horseback riding experiences, yoga and wellness sessions, catamaran sailings, excursions, free time. Just give me that clean checklist so I can understand the value at a glance. People skim websites, and those details need to be incredibly easy to find. The next thing I naturally look for is trust. Do I trust the people inviting me to travel to another country and spend a week with them? I think that this page helps build that trust by explaining that the retreat is guided by compassionate professionals who prioritize guests' well being and the respectful care of the horses, which, of course, anyone who cares about anything is curious about that. I appreciate that they specifically mention support, safety, and the small group environment. The niche is also very clear. This does not feel like a generic retreat with a horseback riding extra added as a afternoon activity. The equestrian experience is at the heart of it. I would love to see a little more of the people behind the retreat directly on this page. Who will be welcoming me? Why did they create this experience? Although it's quite obvious it's because they have this beautiful location and people love to be with horses. Plus, Barbados plus beach. It's fantastic. A personal note from the host or a few guest testimonials would be another beautiful layer of emotional connection. And then we come to the question that matters the most to me. When I close this page, do I understand only what I will be doing, or do I understand how I might feel afterwards? This page does begin to answer that. It talks about reconnection, renewal, slowing down, and choosing a pace that matches your energy. That is important because people do not invest in a retreat simply to fill an itinerary. They want to feel something, they want to reconnect with a part of themselves that maybe has been neglected. After reading this page, I'm not simply thinking, I could go horseback riding in Barbados. I am thinking I could reconnect with the adventurous, joyful woman inside of me, the one who might be ready to come out and play again. That is where the retreat becomes more than a vacation. So, if this were my next bucket list experience, would I keep scrolling? Absolutely. Can I picture myself there? Yes. Would I need the exact dates, pricing, and a complete inclusion of details before I could seriously consider booking? Definitely. But based on the beauty of the invitation, the intimate group size, the thoughtful combination of horses, wellness, island adventures, and restoration, this one is getting the bucket list stamp of approval. Friends, let me know what you think in the comments. We would really like to know. The older I get, the more I realize that the places themselves that I have been to aren't really what stays with us. It's how those places make us feel. When people tell stories 20 years later, they don't usually start with, that hotel had the most comfortable beds, although I can think of a few hotels that did. They tell you about laughing until they cried, watching the sunrise, meeting someone who changed their life, finding confidence they didn't know they had, and my favorite, finally saying yes to something they have been afraid of for years. That's the memory, not the destination. I've been thinking about this a lot lately because people will tell me I don't really have a bucket list. And I almost never believe that. I think what they really mean is I don't have a travel bucket list. Because when we start talking, they'll say things like, I've always wanted to learn to paint. I've always wanted to write a book. I've always wanted to see a bear in Alaska. I've always wanted to take dance lessons. I've always wanted to volunteer somewhere. I've always wanted to sleep out under the stars. I've always wanted to start a business. Those are bucket list items. I think we actually made the term bucket list too small. We've reduced it to airline tickets and passport stamps. A bucket list is really just a collection of experiences that make you feel more alive. Some of those experiences do happen halfway around the world, but some happen in your own backyard. One of my favorite examples is something I saw in Alaska. People come from all over the world to photograph the wild bears catching salmon. Now, was it really about the bear, or was it about standing in a river, camera in hand, heart pounding, realizing, I can't believe I'm actually here? It's the same reason someone learns pottery at 65 or takes piano lessons as soon as they retire, finally signs up for that race or hosts a family reunion, or starts saying yes instead of saying maybe someday. These moments wake up something inside of us. And that is why I think retreats are so powerful. Yes, we travel, but the travel isn't the point. The point is what happens when you are there. The conversation, the courage, the laughter, the friendships, the quiet mornings, the realization that maybe you've been putting yourself last for far too long. Nobody comes home saying, the airport was amazing, although the Anchorage airport is super amazing. They do come home saying, I forgot this version of myself existed. And honestly, that's why I started Bucket List Retreats, not because I wanted to help people see more countries, because I wanted to help people create more moments that reminded them that they are fully alive. Sometimes those moments happen in the Dominican Republic. Sometimes they happen in Egypt. Sometimes they're in Alaska. Sometimes they are right where you are, if you are willing to say yes. Here is something that I would love for you to think about this week. If I took travel completely off the table, what would still be on your bucket list? Would you learn something, create something, forgive someone, reconnect with someone, spend more time with your grandchildren, plant a garden? I know it's getting a little late in the year, unless you live in Southern Arizona and you guys are just getting ready. I remember when my mom learned to scuba dive. I think she was like 48 or something. I was like, what are you doing? I thought she had passed her prime. Boy, was I wrong. Oh, and I have always wanted to take singing lessons. I've always wanted to volunteer, write that book. Those things count. Every single one counts. Because your bucket list really isn't a list of destinations. It's a list of moments that make you feel fully alive. And maybe that is the list we should all be paying a little more attention to. So this week, I would love to hear from you. What's one thing on your bucket list that has nothing to do with travel? Come over to YouTube and leave it in the comments or send me a message. I read every single one. And I think you will inspire someone else to finally say yes to theirs. Because remember, a bucket list isn't just places to go. It's the experiences that make you feel fully alive. As always, everyone, keep retreating, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. What if you gave yourself permission to pause, to breathe a little deeper, to laugh a little louder, to reconnect with the happiest version of you? Welcome to Find Your Happy Women's Retreat in beautiful Samana, Dominican Republic. Nestled between the lush jungle and the sparkling Caribbean Sea is Zaria. So much more than a typical retreat center. It's a place to slow down, soak it all in, and on this retreat, you will remember what lights you up. Joining you on this unforgettable journey is Frances Starr Graham, Adrienne Aries, and me, Kelly Morgan Murley. Together, we have created a week filled with connection, inspiration, adventure, and most importantly, plenty of fun. You'll savor fresh local food made by our private chef. We will relax by the infinity pool on the mountaintop overlooking the beautiful Caribbean Sea. We will enjoy meaningful conversations led by Frances and Adrienne and connect with incredible women who may have arrived as strangers but oftentimes leave as lifelong friends. Waterfall, beach, zipline, all included. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you can even add whale watching and horseback riding if you so choose. And because this is Bucket List Retreat, we are also adding a little adventure. Think hidden beaches, tropical waterfalls, ocean excursions, absolutely beautiful, breathtaking green scenery, and moments that will remind you how amazing life can be. We will gather for powerful ceremonies, reflection, and personal growth, and those beautiful conversations that only seem to happen when you are far from home and fully present. This isn't about becoming something new. It is about reconnecting the joy, the confidence, and the happiness that already resides within you. Ladies, if your soul has been craving connection, adventure, rest, and a little bit of magic, we would love for you to join us. Find your Happy Women's Retreat, Samana, Dominican Republic. Your seat is waiting. See you soon.
Everything was done with the food.